Hey, everybody, this is Dr. Kutcher, and I am here with the amazing Dr. Stormie Grace. We are here tonight to finish up round 2 of Signs of Wellness, how to eat for your Zodiac. Now, if you haven't already yet, as soon as you jump on here, let us know that you can hear us. Let us know that you can see us. We got people who have already put comments up, and people are already kind of jumping on. So you guys either caught the replay of round 1, and now you're ready for round 2. If you missed the replay of round 1, or if you missed round 1, it is in the pinned post at the top of this tribe group. So you can always go back and watch that and kind of catch yourself up. Make sure that you share this out so that someone else can get this amazing content, because we're going to go into the second round where we actually talk about food and herbs for your sign. This is super valuable information. So Rachel, you're already here. We got quite a few people jumping on. All right. So Dr. Grace, let's just jump right in. So can we do like a teeny tiny recap of yesterday and then jump into the foods?
Yes, absolutely. So we're going to, again, keep in mind that when you're listening tonight, listen for either the element that your sun sign actually is, or listen to the element that is the primary element of your chart. And you'll know that by looking at your natal chart. But if you're listening to one of those two positions, this is not the only way. And if you were to sit down with a professional, we take a lot more into account. But this is a wonderful place to start if you're just learning. So remember to look at those two particular things, because what we talked about yesterday are some of the ideas with the different elements, how they show up when they're in excess or when they don't have enough of that element going on, and what the characteristics both emotionally and physically show up as. And then tonight we're going to talk about how do you combat that? How do you bring that back into some level of balance? Now, due diligence and definite housekeeping. We're going to talk about foods. We're going to talk about herbs tonight, but make sure you are tapped into some kind of professional. I love you. I'm happy to help you, give you some guidance, but please don't go out there and buy all kinds of hawthorn if you don't know if you should take hawthorn. Please don't go out there and think, oh, I really don't like eating meat, but this says I need to eat meat. No, make sure you have a little bit of guidance so that you're taking care of your body and your balance correctly. So due diligence, always, always, right? All right, so we're going to jump in and we're going to start talking about these earth energies. So in our earth energies, like we talked about a little bit yesterday, this is a little bit lower. It's a little bit slower, right? This is an endurance kind of energy. And when we have earth energies who are in balance, they are steady, they are sturdy, they do demonstrate that endurance, right? They just are full of this steady mountain-esque kind of life that is very much so available to them. Now, we can obviously come out of balance. So whenever we see an earth energy that is kind of out of balance, one of the first things we want to do is look at, do they have an excess or do they have a deficiency? Mm-hmm. Either way, some of the things that we're going to try and use is we're going to use things and herbs and foods that act like earth, right? They're slower. And they maybe take a little bit of time, because you think about your earth energies, they're slow, right? We're taking time. We got to look around at things, see how it's going to go. How's this going to go down? And so the herbs and the foods that we use will be much along those categories as well. Now, if we've got someone who's got an excess of earth going on in their chart, and that's where we talked about maybe the skin's getting very dry, your digestive secretions themselves, because earth energies are also over the elimination systems of the body. So you'll know you will not be able to eliminate well or efficiently, right? So what we want to do when there's excess is use first a little bit of fire. Then we'll move to a little bit of air, then we'll move to a little bit of water. So what that looks like is we don't just give an earth sign who's in excess just a fire herb. We don't do that. What we would do is you make a nice little sweet salad, right? Something light, something delicious, and then you add a little bit of spice, a little bit of heat into that to stimulate the body to burn off, because our fire energies are built to burn off, rid the body of toxins, right? Also, with earth energies, when there's too much earth, well beyond just the food and the heavier diets, we need earth energies to tap into a holistic way of their food, which includes being social, right? Right? This is a big deal for earth energies is to be social with their food. And so what can that even look like? That can look like just taking a walk and thinking about what the menu is going to be. It's really a very holistic way to bring that into balance. And earth energies with excess earth also, we know, need to be moving. They're getting too heavy, and the body will feel heavy. The digestive organs will feel heavy. So we also need them to move. But if they can do this socially, that's all the better for them as well. Mm-hmm. Yes, I just love to see earth energy. I love to see everybody in cooking classes, but earth energies, when they have too much earth, they're like, I just can't. And it's like, take a cooking class, go make something for yourself. It's such a involved process. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, we've got earth energies who are deficient. They don't have enough earth going on. So the body weight is struggling again, maybe even a low weight, or they're having musculoskeletal issues, bad posture. They're always cold, really nervous, things like that. What we want to do here is definitely get them some more earth, but also stimulate that with a little bit of fire. So in these instances, some of the things we want to do is just put in the meat and potatoes, right? Put some of the heavy things back in there. Put some of the, it's so funny, I call them the creepy herbs because they're the one that like creep along the ground. So clover, ground ivy, these are beautiful to work in. Rigid, dry herbs will help create this earth palette, such as hawthorn, wormwood, dandelion, burdock. These are beautiful to infuse an earth energy that is in deficiency. Okay? And then you can also sprinkle that in. This is, again, you can bring in, maybe on your potatoes, you put a little cayenne, get them moving just a little bit. Yeah, it's fun when you think about that with an earth sign. If an earth sign or an earth energy were to just be given a full fire treatment, it would actually be very ineffective for them because earth signs are not convinced to just move. They need something low and slow that builds. You know, when you think about, I talked about yesterday, you know, you don't wake up and have an earthquake. Some things have been bubbling before we had an earthquake. Right?
You don't have you ever seen a mountain just get up and move? Right? Like, that's true. They move very, very slow, steady, strategic, assured. Yeah, we're not just we're not just whipping out there. Okay, let's talk about our air signs. So our air signs are over circulatory things in the body, as well as nervous system, respiratory systems, and things like that as well. So when they're great and they're in balance, they're thinking, they're being logical, they are social. There's an air of a little bit of detachment that comes with them as well, so that they can be, you know, thinking and being in that mind and really using that kind of energy. Now, when they're in excess, when there's too much air, this is tiring. We start to see hair loss. They're hyperactive, right? Overthinking, doing a lot of worrying and things like that. So when we encounter somebody who's got excess air going on, I want to bring in an earth element. I want to bring in an earth herb or earth foods that are sturdy and can bring them down just a little bit, right? So anything hearty, anything warm, anything governed by earth is going to be beautiful for these people. Also things, you know, that we find in the earth, root vegetables. Bring those in. Now, what you don't want to do when you have an air energy that's in excess air is give them caffeine. They don't need it. They're good to go, right? Like, they don't need that. They are good to go. They don't need a whole bunch of refined sugar to speed them up even more. They're not going to need that, right? Yeah. So now if somebody is air deficient, so this is where we tend to see the respiratory infections or weaknesses or things like that. They can be very, very slow. And to watch air move slowly is really just a trip if you think about watching air move slowly. It's just such an interesting visual in general, right? They don't laugh a lot. It's not funny. Nothing's funny. They're taking themselves so entirely serious. So we want to also, if they don't have enough air, we want to work in herbs and foods whose influence is air. Peppermint, bring in the mints, right? Peppermint just gets in the air and it's like, I am peppermint, hear me roar, right?
does this, right? It's a one passion flower, oregano. Oregano, just when I think of oregano, I'm like, what an air herb. You know, it just fills the air. It's so fragrant. It's so beautiful. But in terms of foods and things like that, garlic, cayenne, yogurt is very good here. And it's funny, if you think about other foods or other things in a social way to bring into an air energy that doesn't have enough air going on, the plants and things in their lives that they're really going to be attracted to or that will bring nutrients into their body are often tall and slender and elegant looking kind of plants, and they have these big leaves, right? Because we see the earth energy in the plant, we see the air energy in the leaves. It's beautiful, right? So if you can find any of those aromatic plants like that, so good for our little air friends over there. Our air friends. All right, water energies. So hopefully we've got like a whole bunch of water energies on tonight. I would love to see that as well. All right, that's all right. You're a Cancer, you're water energy. So when we're looking at water in governing in the body, we've got the reproductive organs, we've got the lymphatic system, we've got liquids like blood in the body and things like that. Now, of course, water is acting as a lubricant. Our fluids are lubricants and things like that. So we want our water energies, obviously, to keep flowing, right?
Yep.
Right? It's like those are important. Let's keep that going. So when water is good to go, they're sensitive, they are tapped into that psychic sense. There's a sympathy, there's a gentleness that's happening here. It's a powerful, gentle energy that comes with being a water sign, right? It's very peaceful. But what happens is as they come into excess water, we're going to see bloating. We see excess mucus. We see a lot of digestive things. Diarrhea is huge, right? The fungal infections, especially on the skin. These are criers. We're going to get crying. And if you won't cry, you're going to get mad, right? It becomes an emotional outlet. You're like, yes, check. Right? So if you have excess water going on in the chart, or you're displaying some of these characteristics, what you want to do is you want to bring in fire. Because fire is going to come in again and they're going to burn off some of the excess that is going on. Now, what we're looking for when we're looking for fire herbs for water are herbs that are sometimes hot in terms of taste, but also in terms of their action of stimulating the circulation, right? So it's not just hot foods like, you know, the temperature wise.
Right.
Warming spices are also very, very good here. So vegetables with a little spice on it is really very good. Now, if you've got excess water going on, or you're feeling like you're identifying with some of this, you don't want to be having yeasty foods. Right? Dairy is not going to be great for you here either. Oh, if you can, please avoid a little bit of salt, because you're just gonna float up.
Yep.
And it's like, even though you need to dry up the excess water with fire, you also have to consider that whatever you're putting in there, you want to strengthen the boundaries so that you manage like an internal flood from happening as well. So this is where your veggies and stuff come in with the help of earth, because remember, our earth energies create some boundaries as well. So it dams it all up, which is real nice. Now, if we've got our water energies who are deficient, we're having a hard time sleeping, right? I'm dry, my skin is dry, I'm constipated, maybe I've really got a sore throat going on, the libido down immediately pretty much. And then there's that paranoia where we were talking about yesterday, where it's like, you know what, they're actually just other humans on this planet, calm down, you know, you're being too much. So when we need to increase water, we want herbs, or we want foods that we are actually going to use their water, which we'll find in the stems, right? Or herbs that have grown by water, or they grow places that are a bit more boggy, they're texturous, they're juicy, right? I'm like, get some fruit.
Yeah. And I can really speak to that, like as a water sign, like I'm water sign and moon, and I'm like, I can't be water deficient, because I tell people, I say, my mucous membranes are dry. Like literally the back of my throat feels like it's sticking together. I have to have water, and plenty of it. Right. And then I definitely avoid like anything that dries out, like coffee, alcohol. I try to avoid those things, or just a sip, and that's it. So I know how that feels.
Yeah, it's crazy. If you can really stop and sit and identify, you see how these can just play out in just food choices and what your own personal experience is with it. And taking in some rice, and the things that we put in the guide for you, rice, wheat, things that are going to dry up that excess water, but also make some space if you're deficient to hold some ground for you is beautiful. And the other thing we think about when there is a deficiency of water as well, what we're trying to do is get fluids going, because the last thing you want is a buildup of lymph. Right? Your lymphatic system needs to move. So the lymphatic system, being in that drainage place, also plays a really big part in the interstitial fluids. And that's the fluid that sits between the cells. So it helps those drain away from the tissues and things like that, so that our water sign is not bogged down. So again, I really love I feel like burdock. Like burdock might be my boyfriend. Really.
Right.
So burdock is beautiful. Raspberry leaves are lovely. Plantain is great. I love plantain in a nice tea. So those are some herbs that you can grab as well. But anything as well that is going to be cool and kind of soothe those mucous membranes, soothe the skin, cool it down, and things like that will bring water back into the body.
Yeah. So she says, Sonia Rodriguez says, what is an example of water deficiency foods? You mean to give to a water sign if they're deficient? You want high water content things.
Yeah. Let me see if she answers that, because is it what I want to give to you, or
yeah. Let us know what you mean by that, Sonia Rodriguez. But we'll continue on forward.
Okay, and we'll come back to that. I didn't forget you, Sonia. Let's do fire signs, and then I'll answer any questions in between. Okay, so with our fire energies, again, fire is the heat that purifies the blood. It kicks toxins out of the body. It's this state of combustion, essentially, that is happening within the body. It fights diseases off. So, of course, we definitely want our fire energies to be in their natural constitutions, which are brave. They're passionate. It's motivated. It's energetic. It's driven. That is a nice balance of this particular energy, right? Now, when we have excess fire, inflammation is the first sign we've got some fire going on, because you'll just feel inflamed, heartburn, itchy skin, vascular diseases, excessively hungry, right? Because they're just burning out over there. Now, when we've got too much fire, we want to put that out with some water. We're talking about soothing things, water type herbs, things that, because when it's irritated and it's inflamed, your digestive system needs to be coated. It needs to be soothed. It wants some chill time. When you've got itchy skin, you want the lymph to be moving so that it'll get away, right? So that can keep rolling. So you want to use bitter herbs like dandelion, burdock, of course. Y'all know I'm on the burdock train. Milk thistle. That's also very good for the liver as well. But food wise, what we would bring in here are some greens as well, right? Bring in some greens, because that earth energy, right? It's think about throwing sand on a fire.
Yeah.
Right? It's a great way to kind of put out, and this is if you have excess fire going. Okay. Now, if you've got a person who's got a fire deficiency, some of the things that happen is they are gaining weight. The world is ending. They are declining in mood. There is nothing like a fire energy who's not in their fire, because they will tell you quickly the world is about to be over. We're all screwed. It's terrible, right? And it's because they feel weak, right? Weak digestion, maybe even nauseous or lots of indigestion after they eat. A lot of depression, lack of motivation comes in there. Now, when we need to bring fire back in, we're going to turn to those fire type herbs or fire type plants. And you know what? Think about this. Fire type plants are ones that would poke you, right? Go get some cactus. Make a nice cactus juice, right?
Right.
A fiery little plant. Have you ever looked at a cactus? You're like, yes, I get it. Conversation over. We don't need to go further. But cayenne, ginger, garlic, elderberries are considered in part of our helpful fire energies as well. Echinacea is a very good one. And so by adding the fire back into the diet and spicing up our foods with things that are pungent or they're aromatic, these kinds of herbs and spices, you can also do the social things to lift.
Yeah.
Take a warm bath that has some kind of maybe an oil that would be a nice circulatory stimulant, right? Like a nice essential oil blend would be great. Something, if you camphor, I think is really, really nice.
Yeah.
Because it seems like in the mint family that you wouldn't necessarily get that, but it is sure stimulating to the system. So is peppermint, really. So that's very good. Now, things that you food-wise just want to add if you've got low fire and you're trying to spice it back up. Eat spicy kale, spicy mustard greens, things like that. Lemon is a wonderful one. What you want to avoid is meat because it will make you too heavy. Yep. You want to avoid dairy products and things like that because they'll weigh it down. And if you don't have enough fire, you got to eat the things that build you back up and get those digestive stimulants kind of going.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm glad you brought this up. So the person here says, I seem to have both sets of symptoms for the deficiency. And I guess maybe Elizabeth, let us know if you're kind of up and down with those symptoms. Have you noticed the different things that happen? What's going on when you feel like you have the deficiency symptoms versus the excess symptoms, because I think that it could be environment. So for example, if you feel deficient and it's at work, does it come and go? When you're at home, is it gone? Do you feel excess? Sometimes environment could also do some things to that as well, I think. But what do you know anything that she can do besides that?
And so is this deficient in the water energies? Is this
saying fire too much? Sometimes she has a deficiency and sometimes she has too much. So what can she do? I was like, well, maybe your environment is making you bounce. Could that be?
Those are definitely things I would think of, but I would also think of too, just in between there, definitely a lifestyle situation. For fire energy to be as fire as it need to be, it also does need balance. So you got to learn to relax. You got to find keep the fire in check. And what you want though is the right physical activity, which varies from person to person, right? That is productive enough to keep the fire up. It's like it's calming but engaging. It's kind of an interesting thing because fire energies need to win. Yeah. They need to win at something. So, can you do a word search? Can you give yourself 30 minutes of a word search, right? Because then you're still trying to win, but you're also calm, right? And also some of these herbs do carry over beautifully. I have to say burdock. Okay, I got to say it.
Everybody needs burdock root in their life, right?
Everybody needs burdock and they need some hawthorn. I think we'll all just be very good if we do that. But you can also, plan your meals. And this is for everybody. Plan your meals during the week to have a little bit of, a little bit of lift, a little bit of balance. Right? So think about that in what your symptoms are telling you. And then you can kind of plan a little bit more because a lot of this can just be adjusted by a lot of lifestyle changing, sure. But then also making a meal that feels a little bit more rounded by the truth of your symptoms. And that's another thing I want to just point that out really quickly, because it is like, what's the truth of the symptoms, right? In our heads, I feel like, oh, I'm always tired, but are you really always tired? Or were you tired for 4 hours and something else was actually happening the rest of the day? So write it down, definitely write it down. And then of course, my other suggestion is see an astrologer who does medical astrology, see an herbalist, see whoever you need to help you figure out what's actually at the root, because then we can build from there.
Yeah. So really quickly in the comments, someone says, I'm so curious. On last night's call, I identified as being an earth energy, but in real life, I seemingly identify with air. Is there a reason for this? But I see I will be able to do the food chart as an earth. So yeah, so really quickly, and I'm gonna let Stormy explain that to you. If you don't already yet, make sure you go and put, you text Zodiac in, and it will give you not only the food guide for each sign, but a brief statement, a brief understanding about the different signs as well as the different elements. Additionally, there is a short video that you get to watch step by step on how to actually pull your chart. And that particular video, that is, I don't know if I use the one called CapricornAstrology.com, because whether you are 13 sign sidereal, you want an advanced chart, you want to know, or if you just want a basic chart,
Sure.
That site will give you anything you're looking for. And so it's just easier if you follow that video, grab your chart, and you have it to kind of go by. And then what to do if you don't actually have your birth sign is also in that video. So that comes to you guys automatically when you text in. But can we talk a little bit about feeling one way? Because on that chart, when you pull it with the directions, on the left-hand side, it lays out your elements, and it says you are this amount of fire, this amount of earth, this amount of air. So even if your sun sign is one thing on the circle, you may actually be more earth or more air. And it points out masculinity and femininity, and it points out the different elements, right? So it has all these things laid out on the far left side for you guys, based on how you pull it in the video that I sent. So you can see, like for me, my masculinity and femininity, it's like a 14 and a 9, right? And it has cardinal, mutable, or fixed, which we're not going to get into those, but there's a lot of separations of different kinds of energies on your chart so that it breaks it down and you know kind of what you're working with, right? And that could be the reason, because you've got more air in your chart than anything else. And then there's aspects, but we're not getting into that. So
that's a whole nother video, my friend. Yeah, that's exactly right. Is sometimes truly your sun sign is earth, but you identify more with air. And this could have to do with, one, is your primary overall chart element air? And then also, what sign or what house does your sign live in? What house does a preponderance of your planets live in? Because you may be an earth sign living in a fire house, right? So there are some of these nuances that come through in just the actual practice of the astrology. But for sure, you can know that you can look at where your sun is at. And the other place that you can look, guys, and this is a little out of the scope of this video, but look at whichever signs sometimes are living in your first house. And that may tell you a little bit about your body and how your body is responding as well. And then you can say, oh, you know what? I'm like, for me, I'm a 9th house Taurus, right? So I'm an earth energy who lives in a fire house, but my first house is an earth energy as well. So I know for sure the way my body is going to respond is going to be in a pretty earthy balance. So you can consider some of these tips as well.
Very good. Rachel says Burnout Root is an excellent source of iron for all signs. She says, yes, she pulled her chart and there was like a 6 point or a degree difference.
Yeah.
Elizabeth says, thank you. That gave a lot of insight, right? She says that the stress is what was causing the deficiency. So itchy, dry skin. I think you said that you need to calm down.
Right.
But the lack of libido lack of energy causes the low libido.
Yeah, having that lack of libido, especially in a water energy, that is, I mean, it's just so telltale of what's going on, right? Like, because I tell you what, if you've never experienced your libido falling out, I welcome you to not have that experience, but it is distinctive when it happens. So you can also bring in some other things that are gonna, spice that heat up. But I mean, in this, I just really want to be clear too. The best thing you can do is see someone who can look over the entire big picture with you, because you may be having some of these symptoms, but are you having these symptoms because you're actually low someplace else? Or, you know what I mean? So it's just important to make sure you're getting the biggest full picture for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. All right. Let's see here. What else is in the comments here? She says, I don't know anything about an email. So the email should come to you directly when you text in. It doesn't automatically. Like if we don't have your information, you won't get the email. But as soon as you text in, Andrea, it will send to you automatically. And she said, I may have missed discussion. Yeah, we discussed a little bit about the air signs in the beginning. Let's see here. Said you answered her question. Sonia said you answered her question. So I think we're good here. She says, great point, Dr. Grace. I'm truly water Scorp second house, but so much Libra air in me first house.
Yeah. Yeah, it really does. When you pull a lot of the different placements, their constitutions, their temperaments together, we look at that in the casing of herbs and humors and things like that, you know, all the big words. It helps us pull together a fuller picture of maybe what does your nutritional path need to look like. Not only that, for me, something that's a part of my practice is when I'm looking at a person's chart, I really want to tap into their Virgo energies as well, because I also want to know how you heal. Right? How quickly do you heal? What house are you healing in? Because you may also be earth, but heal like a fire sign, right? So as much as how quickly do you get sick? How do you show your deficiencies? How quickly do you heal? Do you need a slower healing process, low and slow, or get to it, you know? So lots of things to consider, but these are some definitely useful tools if you're demonstrating some of the symptoms that we've talked about over the last couple of days.
Awesome. So really quickly before we hop off, one person said, how can we book an appointment with Stormie? So you want to make sure that they get your information as well.
Yes, absolutely. You can just come and see me at stormiegrace.com, and you can click into my scheduler, and then it'll just take you to whichever kind of appointment you like. My email is on the top in case you show up and you're like, I don't know. You just email me. We'll talk about what you're looking for, and I'll get you on the right track for sure. And before I leave today, I want to tell you guys on my YouTube channel, whenever we get to a milestone, I usually give a gift, right? Something to say thank you, invite people in, do some learning. So we're getting ready to come up on a milestone on the YouTube channel. So what I'm going to be giving as the gift this time is I'll be teaching a 4-part beginner series, about an hour and a half each. As well, my students who have made it to the next level will be coming in to answer questions and teach a small portion as well, and demonstrate their knowledge, demonstrate my teaching, demonstrate to you guys this information that is just the foundation of even getting into this thing. So, and it's always fun. It's always severely low priced because it is a gift. When I give a gift, like it's a gift. It's a gift.
I love.
So I invite you guys to keep your eyes open. I'll keep Miss Angela informed as well. And you guys can come in, come learn. If you want to know more about the actual astrology, the techniques, the placements, I would love to see you there.
I think I'll be there too. One more thing before we hop off, because we're a little bit over time. She says, is Virgo rising a slow or fast healer? And while she's answering this, if you guys can go ahead and put send love and light to someone in the chat, you know how we do. Before we hop off, pick someone you do not know, whether you're watching us on Periscope, YouTube, no matter where you are. Choose a person in the comments that is sharing this energy with you and send them love and light, because now's the time where everyone needs it. Go ahead, sir.
Brilliant. So that's a kind of a tricky question, actually. So if you're a late degree Virgo rising, but you maybe have some other planets in your first house or some other sign energy in your first house, this will change the speed. But for the most part, Virgos are an earth energy, so we need a low and slow approach, right? We need something low and it's working over time. So, you know, even think about courses in your life where you've needed to maybe take a medication. The ones that were maybe the most successful to you were the ones you had to take them multiple times a day, right? That was maybe something that was a little bit more effective for you. But so in general, only typically a little bit slower.
Nice. I absolutely love that. All right. This was amazing, you guys. So make sure you go to stormiegrace.com, right?
Yeah, awesome. Come over. Let's sit down and we'll have a little look-see around.
Right. And I can tell you firsthand, the readings are awesome. Stormie's absolutely amazing at what she does, one of the best. And I follow a lot of people that do this. And her work has always been impeccable. So Stormie, anything else you want to say before we hop off?
No, just thank you guys. Thank you for letting me lead you, teach you, be of service to you tonight. I hope it's been valuable. I hope you heard something tonight that makes you hungry and you want to know more and hungry to eat, because I like when people eat. I just hope tonight was something that lifted you in a way and gave you something to think about and to consider how you can take advantage of it to shine a very big light out there.
Nice, nice, nice. All right, you guys can keep sending love and light. We will go back and engage all the comments at some point. But thank you so much. It's been a pleasure sharing time and space with you guys as always. Have an outstanding evening. Until next time.